The narcissist is not changing. Narcissists oftentimes will tell the same lies to you as they have previous supplies and as they will new supplies. Sometimes the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, happens with a narcissist when they use the same type of mentalities to groom their victims, to manipulate, to lie, to be able to deceive, and they continue doing it time and time again because it works. A lot of times what you'll see is the same things that happen in your relationship, you'll see happen in the next relationship, which is done on purpose to make you doubt and to make you question. And if you want to know more about that, you can check out some of the other videos we have about the narcissist with the next supply and things like that, so you get an idea of what that manipulation actually is and what all goes into it. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. We do that in a couple different areas. We do that with dropping free content on all the platforms. So if you haven't, check out TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and follow us there under Raw Motivations. Maybe you want to listen to it while you're driving and on the podcast or anything like that. You can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and just look up Raw Motivations, and then take the stuff that you learn. Like, share, review, send stuff to other people to let them know what's actually going on. Because that's one of the pillars of what we do with Raw Motivations is awareness. To try to help spread the news of what narcissism is and what it looks like in real life. Because a lot of times we have people come to us and be like, hey, I learned about this in school, or I learned about this in clinicals, or as I was getting my certificate of X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't look like this in real life. And so we're trying to give people more like flesh and ideas of like, hey, this is what it actually looks like, because otherwise it's really easy to get deceived by it. Raw Motivations is based on awareness, growth, healing, and change. And so our goal is to try to partner with you to help you in that healing process. So I meet with people every single day to try to help them break free of the trauma bond. The idea of like, why do I still go back to that toxic person? Why do I still go back? Why do I still want them? Why do I want them when I know they were bad for me? And so I try to help people get clarity in this area and get closure as they try to work through rewiring their mindset for that healing, growth, and change to not ever go back to that person. Sometimes it feels crazy because you're going through a detox phase. You're going through detox from an addictive person. And being able to navigate that sometimes is really hard and doesn't always fix just with time. So I'd love to be able to talk to you. If you want to reach out to me, you can go to rawmotivations.com. You can click on one of the links down below if you'd like to talk one-on-one or start even like a coaching program to help you in that healing, growth, and change. If you haven't had a chance to look at the NARC app, go to narcapp.com. NARCAPP, narcapp.com. It stands for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community. It's a community of like-minded people that are built to try to help you heal, grow, and change, to be able to get advice, to be able to get encouragement, to be able to share what you're learning inside a community of people, but then also take courses, like have accountability of tracking your no contact, of recording your truth with the journal, and focus on that learning, growth, and change when we engage with like weekly lives and when we have monthly coaching, where we have coaches from all over the globe to help you heal, grow, and change. So I'd love to have you interact with that. Go to narcapp.com. Really quick, if you haven't had a chance to hear my wife's perspective, a lot of people have been asking about that. I've been trying to link some stuff underneath some of the videos to give you more of a perspective, but you can look it up under our podcast that we just came out with, which is called Trauma, Drama, and Life. And it's got some links there to be able to hear a little bit more about us, to be able to see some of her content, things like that. But check out the podcast Trauma, Drama, and Life on Apple Podcasts. And that's where both of us are sitting down, kind of talking, sharing some of our story, sharing some of the stuff that we've experienced, counselors, trauma bonds, some of the story that's happened. It gives you a sneak peek in the stuff that we've gone through. Anyways, that's enough of all that. So narcissists, a lot of times, they'll tell the same lies to you in the supply. So we know a lot of times that narcissists lie, right? Like narcissists lie. That's kind of like one of the big like foundations of like, hey, like they're probably going to be liars. They're probably going to be manipulators. They're probably going to distort reality, like all these different types of things. We know that that happens. We see that exemplified and happen a lot of times on a daily basis, like in the relationships that they're in, whether that's a cheating relationship, whether that's a work environment, like lying about like achievements or like different things that they've done or how they didn't do something. A lot of times we'll see the lies that prevail time and time again. It's not always just overt lies of like, I didn't do that, Sometimes it's also the covert lies of like lying with omission, where they say how much they did, or they said where they went, or they said a bunch of things, but they left out a couple things that actually would have changed your perspective or would have changed the thought process of everything that they're communicating. A lot of times they'll lie overtly. A lot of times they'll lie covertly, the lies of omission. Other times they'll actually bring lies to the table of fabrications. And a lot of times you'll see this at the beginning of a relationship when they're talking about past vulnerabilities, when they're talking about past abuse, when they're talking about things in the past. Like, hey, this is something I struggle with, or hey, this is something that happened to me. And they'll bring this stuff up. And a lot of times there'll be a place where they start to fabricate the things that actually happened completely. I was talking to someone a little while ago. They'd been with their partner for multiple years, and they got to the place where they finally connected with some other of their friends and family and realized that one of the stories that person was using to triangulate her for a long period of time never even happened. But until she found that out from other friends and family, that person was actually holding something over her that never even existed. A lot of times narcissists will fabricate stuff completely. They'll end up lying about anything. About their cheating, about porn, by gambling, about drugs, anything they can to be able to hide some stuff that they're going through or hide the stuff that they want, but they don't want to be honest about it. You don't normally get into a relationship and be like, hey, by the way, like, it's nice to meet you. I also cheat. Just want to let you know that ahead of time. You're like, whoa, red flag. Like, a lot of times you don't see that, right? Because they're going to lie about it. They hide it. They push it down. People that have gotten involved with a narcissist and realize, 6 months in, a year in, that they've actually been addicted to drugs the whole time, but they hid it in a certain way to make it look like they were a better person. We'll see a lot of times when they leave you, when they leave that person and they go to the next person, a lot of times they'll keep doing the same lies. A lot of times because it works. Because like you fell for the same lies that the previous person fell for, the next person is going to fall for the same thing, and they'll use the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to watch the Netflix documentary of the Tinder swindler. A lot of times what they realize is as they compared different supplies, different people that person was talking to, he would communicate the same exact stuff, the same pictures, the same story, the same interactions to be able to walk them through a giant story and a future fake to get money from them. Okay? So a lot of times they will use the same lies. Now sometimes the lies are different. Okay? Now sometimes they're different and sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they can be completely polar opposite. And a lot of times that'll confuse people because they won't understand what's actually going on. Sometimes it confuses people because the narcissist cycles will change up. Okay? For instance, like a narcissist will be with you for 6 months. And all their other relationships, they've been, 6 months as well. Like that cycle stays consistent. Sometimes they go to the next person and the cycle gets worse. Okay? So it'd get like faster. So they've been with you for 5 years, the next person 4, 3, 2, 1, and it just gets worse and worse because they're losing their mask. They're losing the facade of like even caring. They're just like, I just want what I want, and they just keep cycling through. A lot of times when you have more of the covert side, sometimes those cycles will get longer. So I've been with you a year, next person 2 years, next person 5 years, et cetera, et cetera. And that messes with a lot of people's heads too, because they're like, wait a second, I don't get it. Well, a lot of times the cycle will get longer whenever the narcissist might learn a little bit more of what's going to manipulate and what's going to work. It's them perfecting their craft. It's them working on their lies and manipulation to get better at it. A lot of times they'll still take the same lies, they'll just add more. They'll just change it. And you'll a lot of times see the gaslighting be the same from one person to the next. Like, I didn't do that. And then the next person, I didn't do that. Like, that didn't happen. Those things don't exist. And you'll see that happen time and time again. Now, sometimes the changes, sometimes the lies will actually change based on behavior, based on what the other person is doing. Okay, they don't like this, or they want this differently, so I'll lie about this in a different way. This doesn't matter, so then I'll have to change something else up. They'll change based on the other person's behavior. Sometimes the lies will change based on that next person's wants and needs. So like something that was important to you in the relationship might not be important to the next person, so they're like, I don't have to lie about that. You're like, wait a second, they're being honest about it. Well, a lot of times you don't know what the other person wants or what needs. So narcissists will change sometimes the things that they lie about depending on what matters to the next person. Other times the narcissist will lie to be able to leverage. Okay, to be able to leverage the stuff that they're doing and the stuff that they're experiencing. If they can leverage, hey, like let me lie to be able to get over, someone else, to be able to manipulate someone else more, sometimes they'll do that as well. Okay, so they'll do it a lot of times to leverage power and control. A good example would be like triangulation. It is a lot of times like lying about another person, about a neighbor, about friends and family, in order to be able to control that other person, in order to be able to manipulate that other person. So the goal of this is to tell you, like, a lot of times the narcissist will use the same lies time and time again. When they don't, a lot of times it's changed because of behavior, because of wants and needs, and because of leverage that they're using with the other person to be able to get what they need. See, the thing you have to remember, and the thing you have to understand here, as I leave you with this, is that the narcissist is not changing. Okay? It might look sometimes like they're changing or modifying stuff to the next person. The narcissist is not changing. The lies continue just the same. And if they do change, they're evolving to become a better manipulator. The narcissist is not changing. And the lies continue just the same as they always have. And if it does look like there's a change, you need to understand that's not real. That's just them evolving to become a better manipulator because they're not willing to be honest and vulnerable and day-to-day to show up to have that consistent change to work on themselves. And as a result, they don't care about anyone else, but just their mask.